Hey cats, it's Ed, Head Cold Bud here. I've got a quickfire dose of running related news for you. We've got stories surrounding ADIDAS and a huge load of stock that they can't get rid of. A runner took on the Osaka marathon wearing some very unconventional footwear, or very traditional, depending what way you look at it. I got some info about the Boston Marathon and also an update on some recently or soon to be released running shoes. Let's get to it, people. Thanks for joining me on the channel. Welcome to the running news. If you've been enjoying the content recently, hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. Dankeschön. Okay, first up, some info on the Osaka Marathon. There was an athlete called Takanobu Minashima, finished the recent Osaka Marathon in 3 hours, 28 minutes, 11 seconds. Now, you might say, Ed, why are you telling us about this? Well, he completed the race wearing a pair of very traditional Japanese sandals. I believe they're called geta. They're typically made of wood, though these appear to have a rubber strip on the bottom of the shoe's midsole. But in all honesty, I can't imagine even running 100 meters in these things, can you? I'd sort of teeter over and have some terrible ankle related injury. The feat itself would stop me from wanting to try this, and as such, Mr. Minashima should be regarded in legendary status. I mean, imagine the balance that you need to run 26.2 miles wearing these. By the looks of it, these sandals typically have two pieces of wood underneath the main sort of footbed. Well, this chap's able to propel himself with just the single speed blade. Perhaps Nike are hastily developing a new shoe based on this, like a single air zoom unit in the middle of the shoe, just the barest scraping of ZOOMX foam. I can see the lab engineers there, the designers in their white coats. They're examining the data right now, the sales data that is. Well done, Mr. Minashima, 47 years old, and he's able to undertake the marathon distance in a really good time. Over that distance in those shoes, it's quite staggering. 4 minutes 56 seconds per kilometre. Do you reckon you could do it? Let me know in the comments. Story 2. ADIDAS may have gained a bit of ground on their competitors, the swoosh, very recently. Over the last couple of years, they've certainly featured in more podium finishes. 2023 has not been a good year for them so far. To cut a long story short, they've decided to cut ties with the famous hip-hop and rap producer and artist Yee, or Kanye West as he's known to many. I shan't dwell on the reasons why ADIDAS have cut these ties, but it turns out they're left with a large number of Boost midsole type shoes which they don't know what to do with. Lots of YEEZY branding on these things, both in the insoles and also the box. I guess they got 3 different options here. They can choose to rebrand the items, new boxes and tags at cost, which I can imagine when you got like 300 to 500 millions worth of stock, it's going to take some time and money, resources. Will people still want to buy these models where they've got that sort of stigma being related, I suppose, to Yee? They could simply choose to destroy or recycle the stock, though to be honest, that seems like a big loss with no real way to gain out of the situation. Recycling and destroying the stuff is going to take time, it's going to take money, it's going to take energy. I guess that might also be seen by lots of people as very wasteful. Can't they just be given out to people that need shoes? How about the third option, which is just selling the products on to the general public? I personally wouldn't touch these with a very long barge pole. Perhaps they could still sell them at like discount prices in outlet stores. You know, it's going to be lower than what people have paid over the last few years for these products, that's for sure. I think when a big brand like Nike or Adidas cuts ties with a collaborator or something, certainly when it comes to fashion, it's going to hit the bottom line. Analysts suggest the brand could lose out on 1.2 billion euros in 2023 because of this situation. I think typically the YEEZY brand made about 2 billion per year, so yeah, it's gonna make a hole in the finances somewhere. It makes for a real big slice of the ADIDAS operations here. Interestingly, in light of recent events with Kyrie Irving, Nike just completely cut ties with the basketball player. They decided not to release the Kyrie 8 basketball shoe, and they announced they'd be prioritising recycling and donation of those shoes, though further details have yet to emerge. Good thing that Kipchoge is like the figurehead of running, I suppose. No human is limited. That's a much better motto to live your life by. A quick update for you next on some soon to be or recently released shoes. Coming on March the 6th, reportedly, is the Nike ZOOMX VAPORFLY Next Percent 3. Or it might just be the VAPORFLY 3. These days, Nike seem to be very loose on their naming conventions. I've seen prices quoted around £235 here in the UK for that nice looking prototype sail coloured version. I shall attempt to get a pair to see what the fuss is all about. Nike also quietly dropped a new trail shoe for their lineup, the Wild Horse 8. An update to that popular series with more rigid traction, perhaps a less bulky feel than previous versions, without that sock-like ankle collar. Perhaps the shoe's going to be a touch lighter. I think a few people found the other one a little bit heavy. It's out now though, either way, at 115 Earth credits over at Nike's website. London Marathon is coming up, so New Balance have dropped a special version of the SC Elite version 3. Here it is in an almost icy white, blue and yellow version, ready for that London Marathon. Some predominant orange splashes on here as well. We also have a special custom tongue logo as well on this version. Perhaps a great shoe to pick up if you are going to be running in the SC Elite 3 for the Capital City Marathon and you want a special brand new pair for the occasion. One from SAUCONY now, they've dropped a stability related shoe. It's the Guide 16 with a Power Run midsole and Power Run Plus insole, which acts almost like an insert, I suppose. This one comes in around 124 Earth credits here in the UK. Might be a good lower stack option for someone looking for a more traditional sort of responsive trainer. Bit of a firmer ride there, and you'll get some medial support too if you require it. Certainly a nice looking profile for sure in the Guide 16. This one's out now pretty much everywhere in the UK. Okay, story 4 today. Last up, I'm going abroad. I'm going to Benidorm. No, I'm not actually. I'm going to Boston, Massachusetts to take in the Boston Marathon this year. Can't believe I'm going to get to actually see one of the most famous marathons. I think this one originally started back in 1897, so there's some significant heritage here. Though I think the actual marathon distance wasn't adopted till about 1924. I think only in 2020 it wasn't run in some form at least, due to the adoption of Zoom and Microsoft Teams around the world. Of course, you know I'm talking about the dark times. They're firmly behind us now, I hope. I think when the World Wars were on, they ran some relays in place of the main event just to keep it going. Good to see that traditions are important there. I'm seriously excited to have accepted this opportunity to head over there with the Black Cat brand, Puma. Perhaps taking in some future midsole action as well while I'm there. Can't wait to be there, familiarise myself with the route, and I'm sure there'll be some local running adventures to enjoy as well. There are several things that I do want to do when I'm there. Aside from checking out new shoes, it would be fantastic to actually take in a basketball game. Hope there's an opportunity to do that. And of course, check out a very famous and historic part of the US. There's some real history and significance there, so really looking forward to it. Talking of marathons, the Tokyo Marathon just happened. Some excellent performances there from the athletes on the day. Though one detail took many by surprise. That is the appearance of what seems to be the Alphafly 3. From the pictures spreading around the internet, we appear to have a more filled-in midsole here, with a shape very reminiscent of the Brooks Hyperion Elite 2 shoe from a couple of years back. See what I mean? It doesn't half look similar. The outsole certainly looks a bit less carved out there than the Alphafly 1 and 2. Lots more foam now around those AirPods, perhaps in an attempt to further protect them from sharp objects and creating a Zoom Air-like feel. Nike were always keen to try and encapsulate their sort of air units, and it looks like they're slowly getting back to that. I wonder how many pairs have been sent back to them where they've had AirPods like broken or punctured in some way. Even back in the days of the tailwind, people were really worried about that these air units would just fracture and break. Perhaps it still happens. I'd love to know what the stats are. Obviously more foam than before, but there was a large amount of space in the previous versions just behind the AirPods. That's now filled. I highly doubt this shoe is going to be any higher than those typical 40mm limits, but with all that extra foam there, I can't really see the shoe getting any lighter. Doesn't look like there's anywhere they can really save any weight. I absolutely love the massive swoosh on the lateral side. It is reminiscent of that original VAPORFLY Elite that we saw many years back. Like those awesome Flyknit VAPORFLY Elite shoes that Mo Farah wore, and I think Kipchoge had a red version too. That one was absolute gold. Looks like got a bit more rubber there on the outsole by all accounts. A little relieved there on the medial heel. Most intriguing though are those circular portions underneath the AirPods. Kind of almost look like suction cups, don't they? Let's hope they don't create any weird sounds like the holes in the VAPORFLY 4%. You got a real octopus-like suction cup style feature there. These certainly look more like the finished article than some of the prototypes that we've seen over the last few months. So maybe the Alphafly Next Percent 3 or the Alphafly 3 or whatever Nike are going to call it might be a little bit closer to release than we think it is. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of this down in the comments. Musical interlude for you comes today from the fabulous Dux Deluxe. Wonderful track called Coast to Coast. Very much rock and roll in the sort of late 60s, early 70s sort of vibe here. Very powerful. Only a few sort of versions of it available though on the streaming sites, which is a bit weird. Perhaps there's a bit of a problem with like copyright or who owns it or something like that. Absolutely worth checking out though. I only think they made a few albums. Seem to be some live recordings available, but Coast to Coast is a fantastic rocker and a great one to add to your running playlist. Dux Deluxe with Coast to Coast. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hope you enjoyed today's running news. Hit that subscribe button, click the bell below for notifications. Also give us a super thanks to help the shoes keep on rolling in. Give this video a thumbs up, like, share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you